If you've ever fallen asleep with a mirror facing your bed, you might want to rethink it. Because what happens in those glass reflections after midnight isn't always your reflection. There are countless old beliefs about mirrors. Some say they're portals, others believe they trap wandering spirits. And in many cultures, mirrors are covered after a death to prevent souls from being stolen. Most people laugh at the superstition. Most people sleep facing their mirrored wardrobes or dresser mirrors without a second thought. But after this story, you might never be able to do that again. This is the story of Angela, a 22-year-old university student who rented a small off-campus apartment. The room was cozy, too cozy really. It barely fit her bed, a desk, and a tall, antique mirror left behind by the previous tenant. The mirror stood directly across from her bed, stretching from the floor almost to the ceiling. Its wooden frame carved with strange, swirling patterns. She had thought about moving it, but the thing was heavy. And besides, she didn't really believe in all those old wives' tales. Her friends often teased her, though. "You shouldn't sleep facing a mirror, Angie. That's how spirits crawl into your dreams," one had joked. Another warned her, "If you wake up at night and see yourself still sleeping in the reflection, run." Angela always laughed them off. Until one night, she couldn't laugh anymore. It was late, past 3 in the morning, when she stirred awake. At first, she thought it was a dream. Her room was completely silent. But in the heavy stillness, she heard it, the faint sound of breathing. Not hers. Not steady, human breathing. But ragged, almost like someone was gasping in sync with her heartbeat. Slowly, Angela turned her head toward the mirror. Her reflection was there, as it should be. But something was wrong. In the dim glow from her phone charger, she could see her reflection's chest rising and falling, but not in rhythm with her own. She held her breath, and the reflection kept breathing. Angela sat up, heart racing, trying to convince herself she was just half asleep. Maybe it was the shadows playing tricks. Maybe her eyes weren't adjusting right. But then, her reflection's lips began to curl, slowly, too slowly, into a smile she wasn't making. She froze. Her mouth was trembling shut. But the girl in the mirror was grinning, teeth visible wide, unnatural. And then the reflection moved. Not much. Just a tiny tilt of the head to the left. Angela didn't move. She blinked hard, trying to reset her vision. When her eyes opened again, the reflection's head snapped back upright. But the smile was still there, wide, waiting. Angela grabbed her blanket, pulling it over her head, trembling like a child. She stayed like that for what felt like forever, her body shaking, her ears straining for the sound of that other breathing. Finally, after several minutes, she peeked out again. The mirror showed nothing but her pale, terrified, but normal. No smile, no strange breathing. Just her. Maybe it really had been a dream. The next day, she almost convinced herself it was sleep paralysis, stress, exams, anything. But that night, she decided to test it. She angled her phone camera at the mirror and pressed record before turning out the light. If something strange happened again, at least she'd capture proof. At around 3 a.m. again, she woke up with a jolt. This time, she didn't move. She stared at the mirror from under her lashes, pretending to still be asleep. Her reflection was standing. Angela's body was flat against the bed. She hadn't moved an inch. But in the mirror, the reflection was sitting on the edge of her mattress, looking straight at her. The smile was back, wider, almost splitting its face. Her phone was recording, but she was too terrified to reach for it. Then the reflection did something that nearly made her scream. It lifted a finger, pressed it against its lips, and shushed her. Angela bolted. She threw the blanket aside, grabbed her phone. and ran out of the apartment barefoot, her heart hammering so hard she could barely breathe. She slept at a friend's house that night, shaking, refusing to go back until morning. When she finally returned, she checked the footage. The video had recorded for hours. Nothing strange at first, just her sleeping. But at exactly 3:14 a.m., the image flickered. For a split second, the mirror went black. When the picture returned, there it was, her reflection, sitting up in bed while she lay completely still. The video ended abruptly right after that, as if something had stopped the recording. Angela moved out of the apartment the next week. She never explained to the landlord why, and she never touched that mirror again. The last she heard, a new tenant had taken the room. And late at night, if you walk past that window, you can sometimes see two people inside. One asleep, the other sitting by the mirror, watching. So if you still have a mirror facing your bed, I'll leave you with this question. When you wake up tonight, will your reflection wake up too?